So if you're a current student, in my opinion, and also the opinion of a lot of others, your education should be at the top of your resume.
Okay.
Right. That means now that is with the exception of like say if you've been working for a while, you might have like a professional summary or something of that nature that's going to go there first.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's going to be your education, so long as you're still in school. Now, once you've graduated, it's totally up to you. Your education can be towards the bottom, the middle, it doesn't really matter. But as long as you're still in school, because that's your priority. And the reason it's your priority is because a lot of times you'll require a degree to achieve a certain position, right? Sometimes we have people that are working right now, but in order to move up, they're going to have to get their degree even to move up in the same company. So that's why it's so important. Same thing if you're applying for internships, that helps them know you're graduating by this time, and that can be a factor for whether or not they'll hire you for an internship. Then aside from that, you're going to want to include any work experience you have, ideally the most relevant work experience, but we understand that a lot of our students don't necessarily have experience that pertains to the specific internship or job they're applying for.
Right.
That's normal, and that's okay. The key thing that you're going to want to do then is to kind of highlight those competencies, those quote-unquote soft skills, right? Your communication, your teamwork, your leadership, that sort of stuff. Your timeliness and time management, all of that stuff are good things to exhibit within your different roles. So long, and even if it isn't to that specific job position that you're applying to, it's still great qualities. There's still great qualities to have. Aside from that, if you're a part of any groups, affiliations, organizations, and we can talk about student orgs later, that would be great, just because student organizations are so important, or even national affiliations or organizations, those are great too. And then we're going to want to make sure that we include a skill set. Ideally, we're going to want to include hard skills. Hard skills are going to be like, technical skills, things that can be tested, language proficiency, software proficiency, things of that nature. Meanwhile, we're going to include things like soft skills, usually within the descriptors of your bullet points. So that teamwork, that timeliness, all of that stuff will shine through in the work that you do in your bullets.
I had a conversation with an undergraduate today, and I think that this is something that a lot of students are scared of sometimes, but celebrating your own achievements and quantifying how you've made an impact in whatever role you've been in. For example, if you were able to be in a social media role and you increase your followers by X amount of percent, that's something that definitely you should put on your resume, because that way you're quantifying your achievements and it shows that you have a focus on the bottom line. And more often than not, I think that whether it be some cultural connotations or some family backgrounds, we may be a little bit more humble, or we may not have as much confidence to toot our own horns when we've done amazing work. But I think that that's part of the skills that you need to include on your resume in order to stand out as a candidate, to show that you bring something to the table, that you are able to quantify your worth, and at the same time you're able to deliver that success to their organization. And I feel that that's something that we don't talk enough about sometimes.
Absolutely true. Quantifying your work on your resume is so important, and that can be things like social media, right? The percentage increase in like the total number of followers. Maybe if you see more engagement, right? You could even talk about like in different roles. An example, as you start to work more and more in different fields, you'll start to be aware of something called I think they're KPIs, key performance indexes, right? That's really big, and I think it's supply chain, and I think in some MIS positions as well. You'll really start to see how those numbers, those percentages, first of all, foremost, they can get kind of ridiculous, like with the amount of money some people work with, or like the number of, if you have a company that has a lot of employees or workers, those numbers get like imaginary. They're insane. But even past that, it's just being able to express the work that you've done. And that's totally fine. It's good. You should do it. You should be proud of it. It's great. And then for certain majors, I'm thinking like MIS or marketing especially, having a portfolio, super important. Having a portfolio of the work that you've done, the projects you've put together, all of that good stuff. I'm thinking of MIS in terms of like, if you ever work with, if you do coding, if you do that can be anything from like data sets to app development, whatever, right? You can just have that rap sheet of all the great things that you've done. So yeah, totally.